Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare 2 tier lists are among a very controversial part of the Garden Warfare community. Some good and some... yeah. So what would be a better idea than playing as every single character and ranking them on a tier list? So that's what I did. I went and played every single character in Garden Warfare 2 and ranked them on a tier list. I started writing the script for this video all the way back in March, so I'd really appreciate if you liked the video and maybe even I'm getting ahead of myself. Starting off in the D tier, it's what I think is easily the worst character in the game, that being Chomper. Already to start, he's a chomper, which by the way is the worst class in the entire game. But Chomp Thing has a gimmick that makes it so instead of what a normal chomper would do to bite the enemy, Chomp Thing as well as a few other chomper variants have a spray primary, which in my opinion is a lot worse than biting because it's far less burst damage. However, Chomp Thing also has another gimmick which takes away most of Chomper's HP into giving it faster regen. Like, why would you want that in a melee class? Yeah, I don't see how this is any higher than D tier, I'm sorry. Plenty of these other chomper variants, Armor, Toxic, and Power Chomper, digest their way into D tier. Why did I put this in the script? Plenty of these other chomper variants, Armor, Toxic, and Power Chomper, digest their way into D tier here as they're just completely unplayable. Armor Chomper is quite literally a walking punching bag that isn't Torchwood. He's too slow and he just does absolutely nothing. Sure, doing like 40 plus damage and having over 200 health is good, but that doesn't really justify anything by the fact that he's so slow and struggles to approach whilst having 0 range. Like, come on. Power and Toxic Chomper are also here for a similar reason as Chomp Thing and being spray chompers. Toxic is actually a decent gimmick for dealing with the big crowd of zombies, but when you have to be up close and in the opponent's face, then it's kind of redundant. Power Chomper's gimmick might sound good on paper, but again, you have to be in their face for it to be useful, and Chain Lightning just isn't good when you're that kind of character. Toxic Citron is another character in D tier, as he's just so frustratingly weak. Like, why does this character do like 2 damage at mid-range? 1 heal station and you can out-heal his damage. If you want to get all the assists, consider picking up Toxic Citron. He'll do that perfectly for you. Another character that manages to find their way into D tier is Rock P. Rock P actually has a unique trait among all the other P shooters, which essentially when you shoot your primary, the projectile moves along with your movement, making him extremely inaccurate. And if you combo that with being extremely slow, having a little bit extra health, and doing like fuck all damage, why? But what about and what about without hyper? Yeah, this might actually be a controversial take, but I think the top of D tier, I have Vampire Flower. The lack of health really just ain't good for this character. Like, you can technically get one shot by ultra tackles and a full flip super commando. Lifesteal gimmick just isn't as good as it sounds because you're most likely getting lasered way too quickly anyway. And the damage drop off, oh my god. This is what the tier list currently looks like, and we can now move on to C tier. Now we're on to C tier, which means the character's still bad, but has a couple things going for them. Starting at the top of C tier, we have Count Chompula, Fire Chomper, Disco Chomper, and Reg Chomper. Count Chomper's healing gimmick can save you very rarely, but again, it's a chomper. Fire Chomper because fire damage is broken. And Disco and Reg are the exact same character, except Disco has a legendary meter, which you get from swallowing people. When the fuck are you ever getting Disco meter? Like, when are you ever... Toxic P is also here, is similar to Rock P. He does 0 damage, however, unlike Rock P, Toxic P is actually a lot more accurate and he's not awfully sluggish and can actually be okay for dealing with crowds. But there's another P shooter that does that exceptionally better in like every single way, so man, I love AC Parry so much, but man, he's so shit. His projectile sucks ass and he shoots awfully slow. The only thing that makes him not D tier though is that he has 2 stuns and can kinda counter Citrons to some degree. Next character I have here is by far my least favorite character in the game, and that's I should probably censor this, but before all the nerfs though, this character would have been easily like top 5 in the game, but yeah, he's down here now. He's just so goddamn stinky dog shit trash. He's not D tier only because of his abilities, fast fire rate, and of course, you guessed it, fire damage. Fire damage is probably going to be a trend going on in this video because of how busted and unbalanced it is. Yeah, this character's low C tier. I don't want to hear it JVC. Don't you dare type a paragraph in the fucking comment section, I swear to God. Rose, I think, is another character that deserves to be in the low C tier. Roses is just a terrible and inconsistent class, and if you... not even fire damage can save this character. He gets outclassed by like literally every other character. Baseball Star might seem a little bit controversial here, but I think he's the worst all-star. Despite having the highest DPS out of all of the all-stars, he overheats extremely quickly, leaving him very vulnerable. Even when you tap fire, he still overheats way too quickly. And when you're an all-star, you really don't want that. Another character that also has one of the highest DPSs in the game is Park Ranger. If your foe is standing dead still. If your opponent isn't standing still, however, he hits for no damage and he has a very small ammo clip with like 18 bullets with an ammo upgrade. Disappointingly inconsistent. Yeti Chomper is the final Chomper in C tier because he's a hard counter to Super Brains and Roadie Z, which are two characters that are very annoying to counter. He's actually got a very unique gimmick where he shoots a lobbing projectile that can freeze the foe. Combo that with Chomp Cannon and you have yourself a pretty toxic and funny clip. Reg Rose. It's a rose. Party Rose. It's regular Rose, but worse, except also with a party meter that makes you go faster. Wrestling Star might not actually be that much better compared to all the previous characters I mentioned in C tier, but he can actually be quite devastating up close. His primary can melt at close range. Keywords, close range. Whatever you guys do, do not use Wrestling Star at long range. Mid to long range, he's horrendous, but at close range, he's pretty dang good. And you combo that with Imp Punt and Sprint Tackle, say less. Kind of a shittier version of another all-star variant that I'm going to mention later. Unfortunately, Dr. Toxic is down here in C tier. As much as I absolutely love his design, I think he is one of the best designed characters in this game. Him and Archaeologist are just outclassed by every single other scientist counterpart. Spoiler alert, Archaeologist is also C tier, which honestly I could probably just cover now. He's too inconsistent. Well, both of them are. I've kind of seen Archaeologist to be a jack of all trades, master at none sort of situation. He's basically just a shittier version of Astronaut in like every single way possible. Little Drake is the worst imp, and I'm pretty sure everyone can agree on that. His mech is pretty much Fire Chomper, but more health. Ice Cactus just feels kind of janky to me as a cactus. Ice is just really not a good gimmick for a sniper in my opinion, and her damage is kind of lackluster. Electro Citron is another character that I feel is very janky to use. This character is actually very popular on PC for some reason. I don't really see the popularity in it. I mean, that could just be a skill issue, but like Jade Cactus is like better than you think, but it's still pretty bad. She's very, very accurate, and I do like that in a sniper, so high C tier. Captain Squawk. Man, I fucking love this character so much, but man, he's just so outclassed by every other pirate. The only time that he really shines is with a hover goat buff, and that's so fucking niche that I can't put him any higher than where he is now. With a goat buff though, he's insane. Hits like what, 65 damage? Cricket Star and Moto X Star also in high C tier because they're just outclassed by other all-stars. Moto X's gimmick just doesn't work half the time, and he hits like no damage. Cricket Star just has a really awkward projectile to like lead shots with. I mean, fire damage. The final character to top off C tier is Shrimp. Kind of reliant a lot on his mech. His mech is busted. He also has like barely any recoil, so I will give him that as well. And oh yeah, did I forget to say his mech is busted. Before we move on to B tier, I just want to ask if you guys are subscribed yet. Like I said in the intro, this video took months to make. It didn't, I just procrastinated heavily plus break stuff. So I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. Anyways, thanks! B tier. These are characters that are not good, but they're not bad. They're just in the middle, average. That's probably the best way to explain it. The first character in B tier is Drilled Rose, which is regular Rose except toxic damage, so that makes it better. Obnoxious on Moonbase C, by the way. Frost Rose is also here in this tier because it is Fire Rose, but ice. And I think ice on a character like this is so much better than fire. And if I'm not wrong, she can instantly freeze you with one full charge. Now that's pretty fucking good. I think Breakfast Brains and Electro Brains also sit in this tier. Electro Brains is kind of weak, but still not bad. His beam is insane though. And Breakfast Brains, in my opinion, is one of the most hated characters in this game. His damage isn't even that bad, and his beam is pretty good too. And his gimmick of getting a speed boost after getting a kill was actually really good. Especially if you combo that with Turbo Twister, which you get an additional like 10% speed boost on top of that. And as well as some damage reduction, you can actually run away from fights quite easily. On top of Super Brains having probably the best movement in the entire game. I think Hot Rod Chomper is a lot better than the other Chompers chompers just because of how fast it is, and in a melee class that's pretty much what you need the most. Another character that I just feel is so janky to me is Pylon Imp. Something about this character just feels so weird to me. Pylon mines are pretty funny though, so yeah. Alien Flower is literally only good on turf and that is it. Besides that, she's just okay. She's pretty good. Metal Pedal is also another overhated character. I used to hate this character. I used to put this character in D tier, but now I think she's actually really good. You can't tell me a healer that has 150 health isn't bad. Huge ammo clip. The only main downside is that she's really fucking slow. Like, she's horrendously slow. Metal Pedal's playstyle reminds me a lot of Ferrothorn from Pokemon. Ferrothorn is a tank and is also really slow, but on top of that is a steel and grass type, which is basically Metal Pedal. And Ferrothorn also has tools that can heal himself, which Metal Pedal also has. In fact, now that I've mentioned that, are Ferrothorn and Metal Pedal like long lost brothers? That's a mystery that is yet to be solved. Anyway, this is a PvZ video. Anyways, next character in B tier is Commando P, who I think is one of the most underrated characters in the game. It's very unique because it shoots a little bit like a foot soldier. However, similar to Wrestling Star, it does like 0 damage from range, but can be lethal up close. Ice P is also in this tier because it's only good in 1v1s, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty much a better version of Yeti Chomper. Unicorn Chomper is another Chomper in B tier, as instead of Burrow, it actually has a warp. You get 2 of them, which is exactly the same as a Scientist warp, and in my opinion, that's so much better than Burrow. If only he had a little bit more shots in his clip, he'd be a lot higher. He'd probably be A tier if that was the case. Very fast reload speed and hits pretty good damage. Plumber's pretty pog. If you suck at aiming, then you should definitely consider using Plumber. He's very fun. 29 splash damage is actually kind of gross. He's the only engineer that you should be focusing more on splash damage than direct hits, and also probably the best designed character in the entire game. Necrose, in my opinion, is the best Rose because of her gimmick. Her gimmick is called Jinx, and it applies an effect to you which makes it so you take like quadruple the amount of damage or some shit like that. I never played this character. I feel like this benefits more for our team than it does for her. She's low-key kind of overrated in my opinion. Man, if Bandit Cactus didn't get fucked over by like a shit ability set, then she'd actually be like S+ tier. If you gave Bandit Cactus Rocket Leaf, she'd actually be God tier. She's pretty much a soldier with long range and no drop off. So Tennis Star is pretty much the exact same character as Baseball Star, except he doesn't overheat as quickly from what I remember. And his main gimmick is he gets extra movement speed for when he shoots. I mean, it's not bad, but it's kind of niche. I think Goalie Star is in this tier because freezing plants and then imp punting them right after is really funny. Captain Party Man is really fun, but I don't understand why out of all the characters, Captain Deadbeard got a party character. It's literally a shittier version of Captain Deadbeard in like every way, and when you get party mode, you do pretty much the exact same damage as Captain Deadbeard anyway, plus you get a little bit of speed. Like, who cares? And I'm pretty sure you get damage reduction. That's kind of good. He's still pretty fun though. Now we're on to my favorite plant, and that is Popcorn. It's pretty accurate. Drop off kind of sucks though, but it is a burst character. Burst characters are pretty good, so what can I say? Commander Corn is another character where I feel like you don't get much out of his legendary meter. More ammo, extra movement speed, and damage reduction. He doesn't even get extra damage. That's just all he gets. Oh, he actually gets a 25% damage boost. Regular Citron is a really great character. There's nothing really bad to say about it. I've really like Sunpharaoh. It's a burst character that can also heal itself, so if you combine that together, that's a really good character. Reg Sunflower, same reason as Citron. It's pretty much all you want in a stock character. Really solid. Reg Imp, same reason as Sunflower and Citron. It's all you want in a stock character. Really high damage up close. Do not use this character at long range. His recoil's kind of shit, but that doesn't really matter if you're using him up close anyway. And he's got a really good mech, so big funny robot mean good. Captain Sharkbite is the Captain Deadbeard version of Jade Cactus, except Jade Cactus's downsides are pretty much out the window. He's a tad bit faster and he actually has better abilities. Plus he hits a lot more damage. General Supremo is really good. He's essentially a foot soldier that shoots like an all-star. Not being able to jump doesn't make this character worse by any means. I really like characters that don't need to reload, because most of the times I die, it was mainly because I had to reload. Physicist and Chemist are also here in B tier. Physicist has the gimmick of Chain Lightning, which is not particularly good when you're an up-close character. His damage up close is fantastic though, unlike, you know, a certain individual. Even his damage at range is like acceptable. Chemist is just very solid, does good damage, and that's pretty much all he does. He's only usable up close though. I don't know why I put Chemist this high. Should probably like put him a little bit lower. Anyways, that was B tier. We are now on to A tier. I'm recording this bit at like midnight, so that's why I'm like quiet. Anyways, we're getting into the good stuff now in A tier. These are characters that are just great. They don't have many weaknesses and they're just really solid. First character to start off A tier is Golfstar. Golfstar is actually one of the more accurate all-stars, probably the most accurate, and can actually do some damage at range too. 3 damage might not be a lot, but it starts to add up a lot when you have a really fast fire rate. Fire P and Reg P are pretty much the exact same character, except one is on fire. I think Fire P is a little bit better because fire damage. Okay, before you type in the comment section,
Skunk, didn't you say that Mystic Flower was the best sunflower in one of your videos?
I only made that a Mystic Flower video because everyone thought Mystic Flower was the best sunflower, and since I've gotten more experience with sunflowers, I don't think she's the best. She's still disgusting, don't get me wrong. Actually has one of the highest DPSs in the game, funnily enough. Okay, you lot need to hear me out on this one. Centurion is probably one of the most overlooked characters in this game, probably the most overlooked. A fire character that can be used to camp from the other side of the map. Yes, please. He's actually kind of a shittier version of an S tier character that I'll get to eventually, but he's actually insane. And I think this guy's better on PC because Agent P is so common. Roses and Agent P's just turn to ash when they just even look at this guy. Just because Wolfy doesn't like this guy doesn't mean he's bad. Fire Cactus, another sniper with fire damage. Welcome to A tier. That was so cringe. Okay, here we have the best chomper in the entire game by far, by a landslide, no debate. It's Twilight Chomper. Imagine a chomper with Armor Chomper's bite power, with Hot Rod's speed, Unicorn's warp. That is just insane. Twilight's warp is a lot better than Unicorn's because instead of Unicorn's one of giving you 2, Twilight's one gives you 1, but it gives you a really, really big warp. If you want to shut down any super brains, then use Twilight. This guy is your go-to. I used to absolutely hate this character. I used to think this was probably the worst character in the game, but now I think he's up here. Welcome to A tier Cosmic Brains. His gimmick of making plants vanish and not be able to be revived is actually kind of nice. Cosmic Brains is actually better with lag, so therefore you can charge your punch midair, which honestly you're probably going to get enough lag in multiplayer to be able to charge his punch midair. I'm pretty sure if you're in your own region servers, you can still get enough lag to charge his punch midair. I think Torchwood also sits up here mainly because of how much health he has in his abilities. Smoldering Madness is insane. Infinite ammo with fire damage, plus he can jump. Blazing Blast for the fuckers that get into restraining order distance. As well as Leaf Shield to make yourself even tankier, because yeah, that's fair and balanced. Besides his abilities though, Torchwood is still a pretty good character. Does pretty good damage. Basically an all-star, but fat. Captain Flameface is Fire Cactus, except it does a little bit less damage and has better abilities. Plus this guy looks way cooler. He's probably got the best strip in the entire game. Yeah, you can wait, mate. Huh. How did Hovergoat manage to get this high? I have Hovergoat up this high because of how much support he provides to the team. It's the damage buff alone that makes this character so good. This buff makes hard hitters hit even harder. It makes snipers more devastating. It makes low damaging characters hit the damage they need. Plus also has a speed buff. Hovergoat is just so perfect for support. Primary's kinda weak, but he can still manage to hold his own weight. Landscaper, Reg Engineer, Welder, Sanitation Expert, Electrician, and Painter. Sunny, Welder, and Reg Engineer are basically the same character, except Sunny has more damage than Reg Engineer. Landscaper does require a bit of skill to play, but if you do manage to get used to him, then he's actually very rewarding. The reason I say that is because his projectile is so bad and awkward to hit. Hitting 33 damage with an automatic weapon with a decent fire rate is actually quite disgusting. He's sort of like an engineer version of Astronaut in a way. Electrician is here because he's the best for dealing with crowds on the zombie side in the entire game. A big projectile with a big splash radius and splash damage. I mean, Painter has a sort of similar situation with Landscaper, as if you are able to lead your shots, then he is very rewarding. No bias though, but I think Painter is the most satisfying character to hit shots with. Oh my god, finally a chain lightning character that has range. Wait, Electrician does though. Shadowflower hits hard, fast rate of fire, has an insane ammo clip, and is really accurate. How is that not A tier? Fireflower is broken. Imagine Barbecue Corn, but hits harder and can heal itself. himself. That's Fireflower. Regular Kernel Corn and regular Super Brains are like perfect examples of what stock variants should be. They're not too overpowered, but they got nothing that really draws them back. I don't know how to explain it, but they're just perfect stock variants. Zen Cactus is low-key kind of underrated. As long as you're using the last 3 bullets in your clip, you're hitting really big damage. And since the way her gimmick works, it doesn't matter where you hit on the opponent's body. You can hit the head or the body. It would still count as a critical hit. Party Imp is a direct upgrade from the regular Imp, so what can I say? It's A tier. And I didn't get gameplay for this character for some reason. God, I'm actually fucking hopeless. Now we're getting into another character with an insanely broken gimmick in the entire game. Petrified Cactus is a character with this gimmick, and the gimmick is manual detonation. This gimmick is fucking broken. This gimmick makes it so you could technically shoot people through walls. It can just put your opponent in such a bad position, and the gimmick can just apply so much pressure. Petrified's projectile is really slow, but like, to be fair, it's a manual det character. If you want a reliable counter to imps, then play Petrified Cactus. She can technically 2-shot them. Rugby Star is pretty much a better wrestling star in every single way possible. Hits harder, does good damage at range, has splash damage, and is actually the better all-star for doing the right shield tech, which is a tech that no one really knows about and was discovered years ago, but now rediscovered by my friend Sadris. Go check out the video. Link of the video will be in the description. God, Marine Biologist does so much damage. If I remember correctly, Marine Biologist actually has the highest DPS within all of the scientists. Can't be asked to look it up, but this guy is insane. He hits like fucking train. I accidentally rhymed that, but yeah. Super slow reload speed is kind of shit, but it doesn't really matter when you have a fast fire rate and hit like 50 damage a shot. Tank Commander and Scuba Soldier are kind of like the same character, except Scuba Soldier has 2 shots instead of 1 and has a sonar gimmick, which like, who cares? When is that ever useful? Yeah, having 2 shots whilst also hitting around the same amount of damage just makes it better. Reg Scientist is hella underrated still. He pretty much 2 shots every single character in the game except Citrons and Torchwoods. But haha, they get 3 shot instead. Not horrible at range either. Final ice character sits in the upper half of A tier, and that's Ice Citron. This guy is single-handedly the best counter to Super Brains, Roadie Z, just any tanky character, especially Z-Mex. God, Ice Citron fucks up Z-Mex so hard. All stars get count. It just count as any tank. Roadie Z is in the upper half of A tier, I know. But for the tier list sake, I'll give my reasons on why he's in the upper half of A tier. Has one of the highest DPSs in the game if you spam click. Decent movement. Is the only close range character that count as chompers. Not like that's a benefit in like any way. Can shoot through walls. Is an armored variant that doesn't have the downsides of an armored variant. Can push Gatlings out of Gatling. Yes, this applies to Sunbeam as well. And I believe this works too. I just found this out. In the first few frames of a chomper going into burrow, he can actually push the chomper out of burrow, and also applies a really annoying blue wavy effect on your screen, making it hard to see. Oh yeah, and this guy's got godlike music taste, I just know it. But yep, engineer abilities, has a stun, so yeah. And yeah, that's why Roadie Z is high 8 glazing. Sky Trooper is probably the most based foot soldier, and he also has the best drip. Fuck, Sky Trooper can melt your health in an instant. It's actually insane. It just kind of sucks when he has a fast fire rate with like 25 bullets, but who cares? He can melt your health and he's a foot soldier, so it might be unexpected to see this character this high in the tier list, but Power Cactus, man, oh my god. It's just the perfect power character. A sniper with the power gimmick is just so good. As well as having a faster fire rate than the regular Cactus, as well as doing around similar-ish damage. A sniper with the chain lightning gimmick is perfect. He's honestly one of the most underrated characters in the game, easily. Finally, to top off A tier, we have Stuffy Flower. Basically up here because she's regular Sunflower, but has better supportive capabilities with her gimmick. What her gimmick does is, when she gets a kill, the person she killed will drop little sun droplets that will heal you, as well as being a Sunflower that can heal her teammates, and she could use that to heal her teammates too. So okay, so that was A tier, and here is the current list, and now we can move on to the really good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we have came a long way in this video. We have covered a lot of characters, and now we are going to cover the characters that are out of their league. They are incredible. They're the best in the game. Best of the best. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention that this isn't even the last tier? Anyways, enough jabbling. Let's do this. This is S tier. The first character to start off in the S tier might be a little bit of a weird take, but I think Camo Cactus suits well in this tier. Being able to two-shot most of the characters in the game is absolutely sickening, and if you've played this character before, you'd know how slow this reload speed is. But honestly, who cares when you're a character that only sits in the back and does nothing? Party Citron is another legendary character that actually doesn't change any of the stats and just keeps the stock stats, just makes it better by giving it a party meter. Next character in the S tier here, I have Scally Imp. See, this dude's legendary meter works differently to other legendaries. He gets it with less kills, but the legendary meter doesn't last as long, and honestly that's a fair trade-off. Next up in the S tier, I have the two best all-stars, Reg and Hockey Star. These guys are filthy. They don't overheat that quickly, they don't have that bad of an overheat penalty, they fucking melt, and they're just incredible characters. Party Brains, stock super brains, but party meter, so that makes it better. Here we have the best fire character in the game, Paleontologist. Imagine Centurion, but with splash damage, and can heal itself, and does more damage. Yeah. Next up in S tier is actually another scientist, that is Computer Scientist. Fantastic damage with a Giga Ultra Omega speedy reload, as well as Crunch Mode, which is broken. Camo Ranger is another top tier character as he's so versatile. Fantastic damage with pinpoint accuracy and can be used at really any range, it doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have any damage drop off either. Next up in S tier are two characters that are quite literally the exact same, and I cannot tell a difference between the two, in Mechanic and Reg Soldier. They have the same primary, they have the same accuracy, and they basically do the same thing when it comes to playstyle. Another manual deck character in S tier is Captain Cannon. Oh boy, this motherfucker be dropping bombs on people like Oppenheimer. Why does he do so much damage? Red Cactus is what a sniper should be. Great damage, really consistent, and very accurate. Two P shooters up next in S tier are Electro P and Law P. Electro P is the best at dealing with crowds in the entire game, as well as being a manual detonation character, and in case if you haven't picked it up, manual detonation is pretty fucking broken. I do think Electro P is a little bit better than Law P purely because of how beginner friendly it is. And the final character to top off S tier, Party Corn. What an absolute beast. It keeps the same stats as Colonel Corn, so that means it can just absolutely shred anything. Even without party meter, this is still a fantastic character, and with party meter, this character is gross. Anyways, that was S tier. Now we're getting onto the best of the best of the best in S plus tier. Ugh. S plus tier. You know what? I've had enough of the talking today. Editing Skunk can take care of this. Anyways, if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching this video. I spent pretty much all night editing half of this video, so anyways, this is S plus tier. Wait, we forgot Mob Cob. Mob Cob is just a shittier version of regular Colonel Corn in almost every way. Put you like, I don't know, there. And by the way, if you disagree with this list, go make your own.